Hello everybody, welcome to the table. So recently I was walking through Harbor Freight Tools picking up some stuff, and I decided to take a swing by their knife section, and I saw this one right here. So this very familiar looking knife is the Gordon pocket knife, 3-inch blade, and of course we can see it has the skeletonized handle. And so what I do appreciate about Gordon, about Harbor Freight in general, is they do give us the specs of this knife, the full specs, so we can see the size and even the blade material. So we can see this knife right here is a 3CR13 stainless steel. And for $6.99, that's exactly what I would expect. But a lot of companies out there just say steel, stainless steel, surgical steel. They don't actually tell you what you're getting. So here at Harbor Freight, they tell us 3CR13. We know this is a low-end knife steel, but to most of the customers at Harbor Freight, do they really care? Absolutely not. It's a $6.99 knife, and that is what they are buying. So it's a working man's tool. And there's some family resemblance here, though, as well, because I have another knife on the table. Check out right here the Gerber Paraframe. Let's set those two side by side just for a moment. See some similarities? They're not exactly identical, but we can see that the Gordon knife here was very heavily influenced by the very popular Gerber Paraframe. So this knife is carried all over, very, very popular model of knife. It's just very ubiquitous, very available, so it ends up in a lot of pockets all over the place. So the Gerber Paraframe, we'll make some closer comparisons in just a minute. All right, so we have the Gordon 3-inch pocket knife right here. Let's take a closer look at this one. So we can see up close, we have a steel frame lock knife. Check out the lockup right there. Lockup is full, as you would expect. And so one of the nice things about buying these things in the store is that you can kind of look on the side of the package and check out the lockup of each individual knife. So you can find one that has a relatively early or late lockup as you prefer. This one right here is a late lockup, and this was actually the best one I was able to get in the store. Out of all the ones on the shelf, a lot of them were even further over with the lock bar almost touching the side right here. So that's kind of unfortunate, but this is what we get. What's also kind of surprising, looking in the construction there, we can see some washers, and these do look like either like brass or bronze washers in there, which is kind of nice because usually you get the plastic little white Teflon washers, which are not quite as robust. So flipper knife, it works. So let's see how that action is out of the package. It's really not slick, not very smooth, but one of the first things you should do when you get a knife like this, especially an inexpensive one, if you're able to get something like Tough Glide that has this really little needle applicator right here, so I like to put a couple of drops in the action just to help slick it up. And it can help sometimes. So it's not always an immediate effect, but just over time, you'll notice as you work in the knife, things do get a little bit smoother, a little bit slicker, just due to the nature of the beast. And yeah, so that action, not very good. There we go. It takes a lot of wrist. It's just very tight. Let's try the thumb studs. Thumb studs, much more reliable. But I do appreciate they put a flipper on this knife. That's kind of a cool modern feature, I guess you could say. Because again, comparing it to this one right here, this is the Gerber Paraframe. Let's set these guys side by side. And you can see, if you told me these two knives were made at the exact same factory, I would totally believe you. So you can see the shape of the handles. They're not identical, but they are very, very reminiscent. Look at the placement of the screws on the pocket clip. Super, super close. The thumb studs on the blade, even the overall shape of the blade, the grinds look almost the same. So some small differences in the actual frame itself. Of course, the cutout holes, they did not completely copy the Paraframe here. So we can see the Paraframe has the larger openings, and we have this right here. And of course, Gordon at Harbor Freight, they went ahead and added the flipper tab as well. Not sure it's necessarily needed. My Paraframe right here has a pretty good action with just the thumb studs. So comparing that to the Gordon knife, and now this isn't broken in yet or anything, but very similar with the thumb studs. Where it comes in different, of course, we have the nice little flipper tab. So you can see that action. It's not the best, not the best. But it will wear in, it will break in as time passes. So interesting, two little knives on the table. Again, Gerber Paraframe, very popular, very well known. Probably one of the most carried knives in America just because it's so available. It's everywhere. And this Gordon pocket knife, Harbor Freight is also a very popular retailer. A lot of knives get sold there, and they've been trying a lot of different designs recently. And this could be an old one. Maybe it's just new to me. But some things out of the package that I do notice, if you take a look at the tip of the Harbor Freight knife here, you'll notice it looks almost blunted. Compare that to the Paraframe tip right here, which is nice and pointy. Like you can feel that's sharp. That's a sharp tip. So on this knife here, it's almost blunted, so it's not very sharp. So that's something we could fix in sharpening it. But out of the package, again, for $6.99, you know, it's one of those things you just kind of expect. Hit or miss quality control. So there we go. So in hand, see side by side right there. Again, almost identical bodies. They feel super similar. Let's check out the weight differences though, because we have different cutouts, the flipper tab, there's going to be a difference in weight. So let's go ahead and check that out. So our Gerber Paraframe weighs in at 2.84 ounces, very respectable, very nice and lightweight. And our Gordon knife, let's go ahead and check this one out, 3.16. So a little bit heavier just because the cutouts are smaller. It has the flipper tab, not a huge difference. So almost negligible at that point. But yeah, so checking out this knife, let's see if there's any wiggle. No, it's pretty solid. Feels good in hand. That lockup, again, is nice and solid. Let's see if it's actually sharp out of the box. So I have some piece of paper, just real quick. So it is cutting. You can see there's kind of like a rough edge. This is what I would call a rough edge. So honestly, I would just drop the sharpened edge with the leather, and I think that would really just fix the blade. And so again, blade steels, 3CR13, very low-end steel. And our Gerber right here, they don't openly advertise what this steel is made of on the Gerber Paraframe, but if you do some research, the Gerber itself, this is a 7CR17 steel. So is that better than 3CR? Yes. Is it high-end? Absolutely not. Both of these knives are budget blades, absolutely at the lower tier, lower end of things. Is that necessarily a bad thing? No, they're working knives. You can sharpen them up really easily. They're meant to take abuse. Both of these knives have late lockup because, again, safety over anything else is what's important for these big manufacturers. So late lockup, still tight though. Both knives have no play. So our Gerber Paraframe, even with that all the way over, late lockup, very tight, feels very secure in hand. Right here, very tight, feels about the same. Pocket clips are nothing to write home about, but again, it's a simple, just tip down carry, gives you the option to carry it on a pocket. That's really what they're going for here. But again, what really just strikes me is how similar these things are. It would not surprise me if Harbor Freight and Gerber are utilizing the exact same factory to create this pattern of knife. But just while we have it on the table, we'll throw out some other knives for size comparison. So again, Gerber Paraframe, Gordon pocket knife, Benchmade bug out right there as well. We also have the Kershaw Blur, so we'll put that right there as well. So all within the same wheelhouse, all knives people are very commonly carrying, in their pockets, very EDC, everyday carry, friendly, so to speak. But again, it gives you an idea of what you can get for your money, but still pretty decent knife for what you're getting, $6.99, 3CR13 steel, and essentially we get a nice little clone of the Gerber Paraframe. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. I hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you all have a knife day, and I will see you later.